Hey, how's it going, YouTube? Uh, so I've had the Acer Helios 300 for 5 months, and I'm just going to quickly give my long-term opinion on it. For anybody still on the fence, anyone Christmas shopping, uh, maybe anyone out there with a really lucky kid. Okay, I'll start with the cons. Another review mentioned a problem with their model's keyboard, not registering keystrokes and kind of acting up during gaming. I haven't had a single problem with my keyboard, it's been great. One thing I did notice, actually a couple days ago though, is my trackpad. Sometimes if I push a little hard in just the right place, it makes like a weird clicking noise, like a bracket is loose or something. It hasn't actually affected the functionality, and I rarely use the trackpad anyways, but it's the first mechanical problem I've actually had with the computer. Okay, cooling. Overall, I would give the cooling about 3.5 out of 5 ice cubes. Above average, but not great. If you turn the max fans on, um, I've still seen it sometimes during prolonged gaming creep close to that CPU throttling point of 95 degrees Celsius. It does tend to stay like around 90 during intense gaming, and that's even I've started using a cooling pad, which seemed to help a little, but it's definitely not a game changer. Um, the only time I've actually seen it throttle is when I'm rendering videos. My two favorite things about this laptop are still two of the reasons I bought it to begin with. One of them is the screen. It looks great and has one of the better laptop response times. One thing I didn't learn until about a month ago was there is actually an overdrive setting in Predator Sense to increase the response time. Um, why you would ever actually turn the overdrive off, I have no idea. If anyone does, I'm honestly just really curious. Put it down in the comments below. And while this is more of a subjective thing, um, to me, just the overall premium feel of the laptop just has a very durable feel to it, especially compared to its competitors like the Omen or the Legion 5. I mean, I'm sure those are great laptops, but this one just feels has more metal to it and just feels better to me. I mean, I haven't put in this thing through any like hard drops or anything, but I mean, my dogs have walked across the top of it and stuff, and it's held up fine. Before getting into a couple of benchmarks, I want to talk about a couple of other models available. This one, the base model, was the first 2020, but there's a lot more available now. If you go on Acer's website, they kind of seem to rotate through their stock, but currently they have a 15-inch with a 2070 graphics card in it for 1500, and a 17-inch with a 2070 in it for 1600. I think that's definitely overpriced, but Acer, like most of the other manufacturers' stores, they do sales. So get on there maybe on Cyber Monday if you saw those for like $150, $200 off. I think they would definitely be worth considering. There is also a couple of 1 terabyte models floating around. Uh, Maybe you can catch one on sale, but most ones I've seen, they're at least like 100 to $150 more than the half terabyte SSD one, so you're better off spending $50 putting your own half terabyte SSD in there. Um, Now, Newegg, they have a Triton 300 with a 2070, and you get a 240 hertz screen right now for 1450, which if you want a little more graphics power and a little bit of a better screen, I think that's a pretty good price. The Triton and the Helios 300, they're more or less the same. The Triton is just kind of like the mature older brother to the Helios. It gets a metal base plate instead of a plastic one, which is its biggest upgrade as far as the case. It's about half a pound lighter, a tiny bit thinner, and it loses on the back. It loses the fighter jet vent accents, the little blue lines, but it keeps the blue Transformers logo. So if you're using it in public, everyone knows you have a dedicated graphics card still. That's good because awareness is one of the best ways to fight gamer oppression.
Okay, so for the benchmarks, I did Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Far Cry 5, and Microsoft Flight Simulator. God bless game developers that put benchmark tools in their games. For Tomb Raider, I used the built-in benchmark. On medium, average frame rate was 78. On high, it was 77. On ultra, it was 71. For Far Cry 5, I also used the built-in benchmark tool. Medium was 85 frames per second, high was 78, and ultra was 74. For Microsoft Flight Simulator, I took off from Ronald Reagan International Airport, and at 1 minute and 5 minutes into the flight, I looked at the average FPS. The reason for that being is low altitude flying in this game is a lot more intensive, so you're going to get worse frames. So I took an average between low and high altitude flying. This was the first game I've played that's really kind of taxed this computer, pushed to its limits. But take that with a grain of salt, because this game is still kind of rough around the edges. They're still releasing like 10 gigabyte updates. I just downloaded one before I could play it just now, actually. But for medium, the average was 42 frames per second. On high settings, the average was 36 frames per second. And on ultra, the average was 32 frames per second. I wanted to benchmark Cyberpunk for this video, but unfortunately it's been pushed right now to, I believe, mid-December. So when it comes out, once I'm playing, I'll definitely put in the description, maybe even do another video, but I'll put in the description what kind of frames I'm getting. But, alright, so thanks for watching. Please do me a favor, subscribe. If you have any questions, I normally answer almost every one. Put it down below.